Hey yo everyone, it's Halloween, and so let's take a look at some of the games I think might be perfect to play this evening as the sun goes down. Here are 6 great games for the holiday that you can pick up today for your Nintendo Switch. Vlad Circus is a newer game here on the console. It was developed by Indies Ruption and then published by Blowfish Studios. The story follows a circus group, and it starts off by explaining how a fire burned down their tents and carriages, forcing them all to sort of scatter into their own lives, separate from one another. They're brought back together and asked to meet at an old mansion in the woods, and from there the story unfolds as the game leans heavily into the psychological horror elements. You'll have to solve puzzles and search for items that you can use. Inventory management will come into play at times, and best of all, it really doesn't rely on jump scares all that much. Now the story should take maybe 10 hours to complete, and you can pick this one up today for $19.99. Tormented Souls from Dual Effect is a game that was inspired by classic Resident Evil and Silent Hill games. It even features a modern version of fixed camera angles and allows you the option to play with modern controls, or if you enjoy torturing yourself, you can use the vintage tank-style controls as well. In this one, we play as a young woman who finds herself trapped within the walls of an abandoned mansion, waking up in a state of panic with some weird contraption hooked to her body. Again, the game is about finding items, managing inventory, and of course using those items to solve puzzles. Now you will have limited ammo as well, so just like in the old days, you'll have to determine when it's best to run away rather than use those precious few bullets that you have left. This is another great option for the holiday, and it will give you maybe 10 to 15 hours of gameplay. Normally it's $19.99, but if you pick it up before the day ends, you can get it on sale for just $10.99. Definitely worth it at that price. Alien Isolation is a game that if you asked me to recommend a scary game to someone, that's the one I would go to here on the Switch. It was developed by Feral Interactive, and what's really cool is that we play as Ellen Ripley's daughter, and we get to see a different side of the story from her perspective as we search for clues as to what happened to her mother. We board the old space station, and from there, it's a mission to survive as you're almost immediately being hunted by the xenomorph, and when I say jump scares, this one got me for sure. What's crazy is that most of the time you can sort of get a feel for the monster's patterns in games like these, but with this one, they seem to break all the rules, and so you're always on your toes. If you're looking for a truly scary game, this is one I would recommend. Again, it's on sale for the rest of the day, marked down 25% from the normal $19.99. The game offers about 15 to 20 hours of gameplay, but do keep in mind that the download is nearly 18 gigs, so make sure that you have room to install it. Sunshine Manor is another newer release that I had a chance to play recently, and while I wouldn't say the game is all that scary, it certainly fits the holiday theme. It's a story about a serial killer who sold his soul for fame and fortune, ultimately costing him everything in the end. We play as a young girl whom years later on Halloween lets curiosity get the best of her, and she decides to go into this abandoned house where the guy once lived. Her friends join her and are quickly abducted by some sort of ghost. From there, we set out to free the former residents of the house in return for their help in the rescue. Now they all have been turned into ghosts as well, and they all will have a task for you to complete in order to set them free. It's a cool story that ultimately leads to a twist ending. Again, it's a puzzle solver with a horror backdrop, and the music and pixelated scenery is absolutely top tier. The game can be completed in about 2 or 3 hours, and you can pick it up for just $7.99. MADiSON is another incredibly scary game. In fact, it might be a toss-up between this and Alien Isolation for my go-to game as a top dog when it comes to pure terror. They just released the game for PSVR 2, and I can't even imagine what that would be like. It was developed by Bloodiest Games, and right from the start they set the tone. You know what type of ride you're in for. You wake up covered in blood with your dad yelling at you through the bedroom door, and while the gameplay mostly revolves around puzzle solving, it does have a few unique elements, and of course the way that the story unfolds bit by bit is almost perfect in its delivery. It's a game that's hard to put down once you start, and even though there is a main villain or a monster that you'll have to avoid, she isn't the only thing out to get you, and again the jump scares in this one, they definitely got me. They aren't cheap either, they feel earned if that makes sense. The atmosphere and music, it all just works well with this one, and I can't recommend it enough. Now the game should take maybe 6 to 8 hours to complete, and you can pick it up on sale for the rest of the day, marked down 29% from the normal $34.99, bringing it down to just $24.99. Decarnation comes to us from Shiro Games, and it offers players a twisted story that centers around a young woman named Gloria. She's down on her luck at the start of the game and takes a job offer that sets in motion some crazy events. Now as for the gameplay, it's a top-down adventure game with a few different mini-games sprinkled in here and there, and of course a bit of light puzzle solving on occasion. Now, I do want to take a moment and point out again that I think this game has some of the best pixel art and animation that I've seen from any indie game, and even from a lot of the big AAA offerings as well. It's really incredible, and again, I have to stress that this is a weird game. The story is fascinating. Once you get past that first little quick intro, you can expect maybe 6 to 7 hours of gameplay, and again, it's on sale until the end of the day. Right now, it's just $9.74, marked down 35% from the normal $14.99. Alright everyone, that wraps up today's video. Please leave a like if you had a good time or we helped you find any cool games to pick up. Feel free to jump into the combo down below, and of course subscribe if this was your first time here. Thanks to the channel members and the patrons, and as always, stay safe my friends.